Welcome back. In this video, in this segment, we're going to talk about how to say when, in the sense of making a statement about when something is happening. Like when I was shopping, I ran into a friend. Does that make sense? So it is not a question like when are we going to the store? It's when I was at the store, I ran into a friend. This is a super helpful thing to know, and it is the phrase 的时候, but it's very different from English. First of all, I need to point out that it is not 什么时候. 什么时候 is a question word in Chinese that means when, like you would say, when are we going to the store? In English, that kind of when and the when I was at the store phrase both use the same word, when. We know from the, just from the way it's said that one is a question, one isn't. In Chinese, they are not the same word. This is a very common mistake that Chinese learners, English-speaking Chinese learners make because they think the word when, they know the word is 什么时候, and so they say, when I went to the store, they would start saying 什么时候, and they would say, I go to the store. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work for two reasons. One is 什么时候 is a question. It is not this use of when. And the word when, like when I was at the store, that actually doesn't go at the beginning of the sentence or that phrase. It actually goes at the end of that phrase. And we'll see it here in the examples. Okay, so it's 的时候. Oh, 的it marks an adjective. And so the phrase actually goes like this. You say what was happening, and you say 的时候. So 时候 means time. 什么时候 means what time. That means when, but this is different. That's different. So we have a phrase, I was at the store, 的时候, the time. So it means the time that I was at the store. The noun is time, the adjective is I at the store. So I at the store, 的时候. Does that make sense? That's how it actually works. And that's the word order and the concept or the mindset. 我吃中国菜的时候，我很想中国。我吃中国菜的时候. So I eat Chinese food. 我吃中国菜的时候. So it's the time that I eat Chinese food. It's when I am eating Chinese food. 我很想中国. I really miss China. 我很想中国. 想 can mean want, it can mean think, but it can also mean to miss or to think about in a missing kind of way. 我吃中国菜的时候. So when, in English we say when I eat Chinese food, but in Chinese it's I eat Chinese food, the time when I eat Chinese food. So when I'm eating Chinese food, I miss China. This is a fun phrase because it takes us back to 是的. You might remember learning about this right at the end of HSK 1, so that you use the 是的construction when we already know what the context is, and we're adding in we're emphasizing a particular detail about what we already know happened. And so we have the 是 and the 的 here. 我是3岁的时候搬到美国的. 我是3岁的时候搬到美国的. That means I, 3岁, 3 years old, 的时候. So when I was 3 years old, the 是 and the 的 is a part of that 是的 construction, but I'm just breaking down the other parts of it. 我3岁的时候, when I was 3, or 我是3岁的时候, 搬到美国的, move to America. 搬到 means move to America. So I was 3 when I moved to America. The person I'm talking to knows that I moved to America. Now I'm clarifying that it was when I was 3 that I moved to America. 我是3岁的时候搬到美国的. Hope that all makes sense. All right, here we have 我小时候很喜欢吃糖果. This means when I was a child, I really liked to eat candy. 喜欢 means to like. I really like to eat 糖果, candy. So here we have the phrase that I just talked about, but you'll notice there's no 的. I, 小时候. So this is a very short version of that because it's not quite as long as 我吃中国菜的时候 or 我13岁的时候. It's 我小时候. There's no "的" here between 小 means small. So when I was young or when I was a child, when I was young is maybe a better translation because there's no word child. When I was young, 我小 means small or young. 我小时候. This is a set phrase, 小时候, meaning the time when someone was young. 我小时候, there's no "的" in it. Also, many times when a noun is modified by a one-syllable adjective, many times the "的" is omitted anyway. 我小时候 really like to eat candy. So there you have it. That's how you say when. The word order is different, and you definitely don't want to say 什么时候. All right, you got this. Go for it. In this segment, we are going to learn how to say to be surnamed in Chinese. This is pretty simple and straightforward. It's very similar to the word 叫. It functions very similarly. You might remember 叫 means to call, but it also means to be named. And so the way this word functions, xìng, to be surnamed, is very similar to 叫. It has the same place in the sentence, but it refers to one's surname rather than one's given name. When you say 叫, you can say just a given name or a full name. When you say xìng, you will only say the surname in the phrase xìng. So why do I have to say surnamed rather than last named? Well, because in Chinese, names go surname first and then the given name, family name and then the given name. And so you can't say last name because it's not last, it's actually first. So we have to use the word family name or surnamed, to be surnamed. Okay, here we go. This is 我姓马叫马爱仲. This is a very common thing. If someone asks, what's your surname? One might say, you might say, I xing whatever, and then 叫 the full name. 我姓马叫马爱仲. This is the 马 meaning horse, or horse is a common surname. 我姓马叫马爱仲. So that's very common. 我朋友姓张. My friend is surnamed Zhang. Zhang is even a more common family name. 我朋友姓张. Here are two different ways to ask, what is your surname? Oh, I forgot to write the pinyin right here. 您贵姓. There we go. So this is the first one is the less formal way. It is, so you say it to someone your own age, someone that is younger than you. 你姓什么? Or someone who's slightly older than you. You are surnamed what? You are surnamed what? 你姓什么? It's very straightforward. It's exactly like this. 我姓马. So it's subject 姓 what? What is in the place of the actual surname? And the answer would be 我姓 whatever. This other one is very interesting. It's much more formal. It uses the formal version of you, 您, rather than 你. And 贵姓, 贵 means expensive or honorable. In this case, it means honorable. What is your honorable surname? And there's no what in the phrase because it's kind of an ancient set phrase. And so it's just 您贵姓. And the word what isn't actually in the phrase, but it means what is your honorable surname? And when people answer this question, they will often say 免贵姓张, for example, if it's Zhang or Chen, 免贵姓Chen. And then 免贵 means don't be so formal, or it's like against, what's 免 means like to dismiss or to avoid. So it's like saying that formality or that honorableness, it's not there. 免贵. So it's a humble way. My humble surname is, or don't be so formal. My surname is, something like that. And so that's a little bit of Chinese culture thrown in there. I like to use this phrase when someone's older. It makes it makes them feel like, even if they're like, oh, you don't have to be like that, it makes them feel good if you say something that's honoring and makes them feel good. Keep up the good work.